I don't even. I'm just gonna show the knife here. This is a mess. So, good morning, all. This is the Espada XL by Cold Steel. And I tried, but I actually can't get this whole thing in frame if without really changing my setup. I've raised up my camera a lot just to get this into the frame, but let me get some size comparisons. Here is the Spyderco Civilian, one of the other knives I've reviewed. Here is my Benchmade 51, one of the knives I plan to review soon. And you can see this is a mess. These are two relatively large knives, right? They're not like, they're your smaller pocket knives. The Espada XL just does not care. So let me just get a couple of specs out of the way, I guess, if you really want to take this the sophisticated route. Steel's AOS 10A, which roughly translates to AUS 8 if it were a little bit better. Which is, fine. I actually like that it has a softer steel. It means it's going to be easier to sharpen when you're doing, cold steel stuff with this. And, cold steel stuff being exactly everything a 13-year-old boy might want to do with a knife. It's got two huge breaks of G10 on it, which honestly are pretty comfortable in the hand. Perfect lockup, by the way. It's got the Cold Steel Triad lock, which is basically a glorified, beefier back lock. Just bar lock, whatever. And that actually does provide such a solid lockup, and it's actually a little bit difficult to unlock that. I'm sure if you have little daintier hands or whatever, it would be a lot easier. It features I don't think if this is licensed by Emerson, but it is a wave feature, so if you really must, you can put this in your pocket, which, by the way, I've taken them off, but you can put a pocket clip on this, and if your pockets are large enough, which, personally, I'm not a very big guy, but this does fit in my pocket, along with maybe a phone if I can squeeze it in there. Other than that, it's your entire pocket and goes halfway down your thigh, but, we don't talk about that. So, yes, this does wave out of your pocket rather nicely, if you can get it in there in the first place. One thing about this knife that I really wasn't expecting, and really was not necessary at all, this knife came super sharp. Like, I usually don't even mention that because it's kind of a non-factor. If you buy a quality knife, it's going to come sharp. But genuinely, this is one of the sharpest knives probably the sharpest knife that I've ever gotten out of the box. Like, unfortunately, I haven't gotten a chance to use too much of this, but I mean, I'm sure you can see. Like, it just effortlessly. And that's basically newspaper, by the way. It was from an old voting ballot. Or not ballot, information thing. It doesn't matter. Absolutely disgustingly sharp for no reason. And honestly, I kind of love it. I kind of hate that this is one of the sharpest knives I own, given how goofy it is to have. But, like, it's nice. It's a nice touch. This knife is very comfortable in at least 3 different grips. I found that this is the most comfortable for me. The more forward grip has these 2 little choils here. as well as the little ramps here and here for your so your hand doesn't slide around. There's also the sort of pistol grip where you can take advantage of that one finger choil right there, and that gives you a little bit more reach. And then there's also the backward grip here, whatever you want to call it, and that gives you the most reach, but then again you don't have the little security. I've also seen people try and choke up with this, but I have no idea why you would ever need to. I mean, at what point do you just get a different knife? But yeah, I mean, it's the Espada XL. There's like 2 different sizes to this, but if you're not getting the XL, then why even bother? This ran me about $160, and they're only rising in price because this knife has such clout to it. I've seen them as high as 200 and as low as 100 a few years ago, but there's also a different version with micarta scales and a steel bolster here, or maybe possibly aluminum bolster, which is a little bit nicer, and it also has upgraded steel. I don't know offhand what steel that is. Those run about, I think, $250 to $300. But the reason I make this review now is because Cold Steel was recently bought out by... Oh, shoot, I forget the name of the company, but it's a company that does, like, outdoor products, and, you know, they do, you know, tents and thermoses and whatever. And that we might see a decline in Cold Steel's quality control soon. This video was made February of 2021, by the way, just for a little bit of context. And speaking of quality control, like, this is something that, in a $160 knife, you really don't expect already from Cold Steel themselves. Pay attention to this this little swedge here on the blade. If I turn it around, it looks relatively the same, but you can see that the swedge goes way farther back on this side than it does on this side, and same thing here. It's a little bit more forward on this side than this side. I'm not sure how clear that comes through, but that's something that very, very much bothers me about this. And does it affect, you know, how this knife actually functions? No, of course not. But for $160, I expect more than a bunch of micarta and some slightly above average steel. And that's just a little bit disappointing. Overall, this is just a whole bunch of knife. And I love it. I love this knife so much. I love playing with it. I love how sharp it came, just so I don't have to do anything to it. As soon as I go out once and, you know, whack it into trees and watermelons and whatever, I'm sure it'll dull out, but for now, it's nice to see that it's, you know, sharp. Just right out of the box. Do I recommend purchasing an Espada XL? Yes. If you have $160 disposable dollars, I would highly recommend getting an Espada XL, because if you're gonna do stupid bullshit, you should get a knife that's not going to break while in the middle of that. And ironically, a knife this stupid is going to be your safest bet rather than some, you know, mall ninja piece of crap that's going to break on you. And, you know, some pieces of blade are going to fly places, or it's going to fly off the handle, or whatever. This is going to be a safer knife for what you're using it for. Of course, you could also use this for bushcraft, or I guess martial arts if you're into that. Although I really wouldn't suggest using a live blade for that. But there are other practical uses, like I put this in my bug out bag, for example, because I think it's nice and portable-ish. I mean, that easily fits in a backpack, not easily in a pocket, but in a backpack. and it's a whole lot of knife in a compact area. It's like one of those folding saws, but not cheap and garbage. So overall, I'm I can't say too much bad about the Espada. It's not for everyone, of course. I mean, it's a novelty for sure. But if you enjoy it and you see it in videos and pictures and you're like, "Wow, I need this." Buy it. Like, I promise it's a lot cooler in person. Pictures, videos, whatever you see, they don't even do it justice. This thing is massive. I think that's it. Thanks for watching. Nighty night.